It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn
Wake up! AM, brought to you by vapors1.com. I'm your host, Anthony Ramella. Thank goodness it's Friday. I don't know why, but this week just felt like it went on forever. I think it's anytime we have a 3-day weekend, man, I don't deal with it well. Like, I cannot wait for the weekend to start again. I feel like I need to get some stuff done, but I'm sure the rest of you probably feel the same way as well. All right, well, let's start off today with some normal stuff. No history today, but I am going to do some birthdays because there were some pretty good ones today. Back to my Tesla 220 with my Falcon King tank. I just don't know if there's a better kit out there right now. I am really, really happy with this. My Tesla 220, it's a heavier mod. I will definitely say that, but I mean, that just kind of feels of the quality of the device, so I'm not really that upset about that. I mean, it's not like super heavy or anything, but I mean, I absolutely love this device. And that Falcon King just looks so good on top of that. So I'm vaping a little Super Good today, which is that watermelon raspberry candy flavor by Squeezy. Those are come in 100 ml bottles. You can get those over at vapors1.com. Really, really delicious flavor. I like that quite a bit. All right, well, let's do some birthdays today. A couple of really good ones today. Brooke Shields turns 53 years old today. She was she was a beauty back in the day, I got to be honest, man. I mean, Brooke Shields is just a very attractive woman and still looks pretty good today, so no complaints there. A lot of other ladies and a lot of other actresses have not aged quite as well, but she has definitely aged well. So Brooke Shields, have a fantastic birthday today. And then, you know, what can you say about this guy that hasn't already been said? But Clint Eastwood is celebrating his 88th birthday today. So happy birthday, Clint. Very, very happy that I've been, been able to watch your movies a lot of my life. He's been in movies, he's directed, he's done all kinds of things, and just a phenomenal career in Hollywood. So happy birthday, Clint Eastwood. You know, what more can you say? Well, anyway, probably time to get on to some Wake and Vape news. As you guys noticed from the title today, I'm going to talk about Judge Grimm a little bit. Now, I hadn't brought this up before now because I felt like a lot of the vaping news has been saturated with this, especially last week. This is the judge that made the ruling towards the FDA. I'm going to read a little bit today and then kind of give you some of my opinions about what's going on. But I knew that this was a topic we were going to have to get to, and I thought, well, Friday will definitely be the day we'll do that. So basically, a federal judge is siding with public health groups suing the FDA administration and to begin reviewing thousands of e-cigarettes on the U.S. market. A ruling that was handed down in district court states that the agency has shirked its legal duty when it comes to postponing reviewing of all U.S. vape products for several years. The American Academy of Pediatrics, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, and other groups filed federal lawsuit in Maryland over a year ago. So this has actually been filed for quite a while. The groups say that the lack of the FDA oversight has led to an explosion of underage vaping by teenagers, threatening to hook a generation of Americans on nicotine. All right, so let's talk about this just a little bit. What they're basically saying is the FDA hasn't been doing their job. They put out, mandates for things back even when the deeming rule came into effect. There are things like the PMTAs that are supposed to be filed. There's some issues there because a lot of these regulations actually don't exist yet. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more, but I'm going to keep reading here and finish up some other things in the article. So basically, Judge Grimm ruling suggested the FDA, Judge Grimm's ruling suggests that the FDA must move much faster. He calls for health groups and the FDA to submit plans for moving forward with these products within 30 days of its judgment, which is going to be probably a week old, if not 2 weeks old now. Wednesday's ruling follows a similar decision from last September when a federal judge said the FDA must move ahead with adding graphic warning labels to cigarette packs. Now, I was unaware of this before I actually started reading this article, but I guess the FDA was required to take steps under a 2009 law that for some reason this process has been bogged down to get these warning labels and things on cigarette packs because of some legal thing. Basically, I would guess that Big Tobacco is probably fighting this tooth and nail and has them buried in paperwork to try and get this out. And until they get through all of these court cases and all of these rulings, that's why this hasn't gone into effect yet. The FDA would actually argue at this point that they just don't have the resources to process all of these vape products when these PMTAs come in. I mean, this is going to be thousands and thousands of products that they're supposed to move quickly to deal with. The other issue is, and this is kind of the biggest sticking point, is that the regulations that vape companies have to adhere to don't even exist yet. Like, most vape companies are actually waiting for the FDA to come up with a list of regulations that they have to check off. Okay, all my items have to meet all these regulations. That doesn't even exist yet. That's why the FDA keeps pushing back the date, is because they just don't even have the time to set up the actual regulations that we're going to need, let alone giving them time to actually, make sure that we comply with these regulations and then submit this application. So that's what the whole sticking point, that's what the holdup is here. We don't even know what the rules are yet for the game. How can we even play the game? How can we even be involved in the game if we don't even know what the rules are? Because the guy that's setting up the game hasn't come up with the rules yet. So that is a huge sticking point for this. So how do we comply with rules that don't exist? It's a good question. I don't care what the time limit is. It could be 2 days. If we don't know what the rules are, then how can we possibly do what's necessary to make sure that these things pass, okay? Vaping is a stop smoking tool. No different than, Chantix, no different than the nicotine gums, no different than the patches. The biggest difference is that vaping doesn't have the side effects that these other products have. Every time they try and bring something up with vaping, it's very easy to push it off into another product that is much, much worse that the FDA has already approved. So when we talk about side effects, then we've got Chantix that gives you suicidal tendencies. We've got the patches that can cause people to have an overdose of nicotine or cause their skin to change color. And then when you're talking about seizures, 500 plus seizures just from some of these other these nicotine replacement tools. When it comes to vaping, they'll bring out things like it has formaldehyde in it. Okay, so does baby formula. So does baby shampoo. So does chocolate. So does white flour. There are other sticking points here that they keep bringing up these things, but they never say how much. These are minuscule little amounts of this stuff that's in there that it takes a ton of research to be able to find what's in there. They've done studies from the New England Journal of Medicine that's been released that says it's a harm reduction, a healthier alternative. They've done secondhand vape studies where they've filled a vape store with vape liquid and checked the air quality, and it's been of no concern. I've seen studies where they talk about secondhand vapor having things in it, but what they don't put in there, the study, which the other studies do this, is that because it disperses so quickly that the possibility of getting a lethal dose or a problem dose of anything from secondhand vapor is so ridiculously small that it shouldn't even make it onto the news. What they do is they pick out sensationalized things that they can put into these news things to try and scare you away from a product that they know is going to help you, because they know it's going to pull away from tobacco sales, which is where they get tax money from, which is where the MSA comes involved, where states get just hit paid money directly from big tobacco that keeps them from suing them for tobacco-related issues. When Big Tobacco saw how big vaping was going to be, they went a couple of different directions. First off, they bought into a company that was the biggest vaping company that was around during that period of time, which is Juul, and I still consider them to be a large company. I don't think they actually have the percentage of 70 to 75% of the market, but they are a big company. Then other ones like RJ Reynolds went the other way, and they've got laws in their state trying to pass, basically telling people that we can't possibly get another generation hooked on nicotine. All right. And North Carolina is the largest producer of tobacco, and this is where RJ Reynolds is saying, no, vaping is bad for you. It's utterly insane what's really going on. And like I've said in previous episodes, some days I just feel like I'm in this weird dream world that eventually logical people are going to wake up and look at the real thing that's going on here, and hopefully intelligence will prevail. I would love to see somebody come up and go, you know what? First things first, we're going to pass a law that bans cigarettes, and then we'll look at the other things that are less harmful in the future. Okay? I would love to see something like that. 18 for vaping, 21 for tobacco. Why has that never been part of the issue? How come no one's ever brought that to anyone's attention? Because they lump us all together like it's some kind of crazy thing. And the problem is we cannot be lumped together. We are not combustible tobacco, which is what causes the harm. We are not that, all right? So wake up, do some research, start spreading the news, let people be informed, because in this case, what you don't know can literally kill you, all right? You know our goal here at Vape AM is for you to stop smoking or you're gonna die. Remember, I vape, I vote. Go to vapors1.com. Get a t-shirt, get a hoodie, get something that tells other people that not only am I a vapor, but I want you to ask questions to me about it, because I want to give you the real knowledge about what's really going on. Vaping used correctly has never hurt anyone. It's never caused a death. And the only times that they could ever come up with something that is caused problems is when babies are fed this stuff by irresponsible parents, or irresponsible vapors who don't take care of their batteries have problems with them catching fire and exploding. That is not a vape problem. That is a you problem, okay? If you don't take care of other things, you could have issues. If you don't take care of a cigarette lighter and it goes off in your pocket, that is not big tobacco's fault, okay? If you have a 9-volt battery that goes off in your pocket because it touches your keys, that is not the smoke alarm company's fault, okay? That is your fault for not taking care of something that you should be taking care of. Take some responsibility for yourself and don't wait for legislators to try and figure out a way to keep you safe. Open your eyes, open your ears, and start figuring out how you need to take personal responsibility and stop blaming others. Vaping is a stop smoking tool, bottom line. All right, I know it's Friday, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll be back to see you again on Monday, and I'll be bringing you some more news. Stop smoking or you're gonna die. All right, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.